wanted to be a cop ever since the day I met you. I mean, forever. And did that for a lot of years. Ended up working for the sheriff's department. Even ran for sheriff. Mm-hmm. And that's an exhausting process. I know.
You should know.
I know better than I used to know.
Right.
I have a great deal of appreciation for all that you did and that period of time. And then ultimately become the chief marshal for the North Carolina Supreme Court. I want to hear a little bit about that and a little bit about your what's going on in society today as it relates to law enforcement, and just fill us in on some of your thoughts and what you're seeing. And then I want to go in and understand a little bit more about, what's going to happen here. You'll bring in an event to us on May 3rd, and I appreciate you being such a rock solid citizen. And I failed to mention Citizen of the Year from the Chamber of Commerce from a couple of years ago. So I'm just honored to be in your presence. But
I hear you, high school mate.
But anyway, tell us a little bit about law enforcement, what you're seeing happening, and the challenges that are out there, and then a little bit about being at the North Carolina Supreme Court. That's just super cool.
It really is, and I've been very blessed. And I'm the chief deputy marshal.
I'm sorry. Okay.
There's a marshal that's been there forever, is what I tell them. And,
right.
I've been there 6 years. April 25th will make 6 years exactly. I started April 26, 2016, the day that the General Assembly went back into session. And before that, 28 and a half years working the streets around here.
Right.
And out of those years, 9 of those was with Nash County Sheriff.
Yeah.
I'll never look back. I'm glad where I am today, but I have no regrets from the past, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my past.
Of course.
And the people that helped me along the way. So It's very, very honored to be where I'm at today.
Well, you still do a little patrolling every now and again. I mean, you like to mix it up. I think that's part of who you are, and I think that's part of your character and part of the thing I love about you.
Well, I said when I left, I've always been a part of Rocky Mount in this area. Nash, Edgecombe, grew up on the Edgecombe side in Oakwood.
Right.
Live in Nash County now, on the Nash County side. Always been a Rocky Mount guy. And when I went to Raleigh, everybody thought I was going to move to Raleigh. I'm not leaving Rocky Mount. It's not going to be that easy to get rid of me. So I stayed part-time with the police department, because the thing is I tell people, don't forget where you come from and those that help you get where you are today. So I wanted to keep things in perspective and work those 8 hours that you're required to stay part-time. And I would come in and I'd work patrol. They'd keep me out of I'd work high visibility areas like the parks, special events on the weekends and stuff, because I don't really want to get a lot of other court cases and a lot of evidence back in the system to have to purge later on. But I actually ended my years with the city the end of October of last year.
Okay.
I just ran out of time. I even had a hard time trying to find the 8 hours to work a month between travel baseball, national dance competitions with the kids, plus a couple commissions and things I'm involved in with the state, and even some stuff here locally. But I don't think I've forgotten. I know I hadn't forgotten. This is home. It always will be, and my passion's here, and that's part of the reason why any opportunity I have to bring the light back to Rocky Mount with people I interact in Raleigh or anywhere else in the state, I just believe in home.
Well, I remember where you went. It doesn't feel like 6 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, it feels like yesterday, and I guess forever ago, all rolled into one. And I do appreciate you staying in town, because it would be an easy thing to do. And right. But I appreciate your dedication to our community, and you've been obviously our most valuable citizen, and you've been recognized as such. But no, I mean, I know you smile and you laugh a little bit, but I think it's something that was well deserved.
Thank you.
And is well deserved, and because I don't think folks fully appreciate all the things that you do. So let's talk a little some of these commissions that you're on. I mean, you just brushed over that like it was no big deal, but and perhaps it's not for you, but the impact that it has in our community is pretty significant.
Well, no, I don't take it for granted. I mean, it truly is an honor, and I believe God puts us on earth for a reason, and He gives us talents and gifts for a reason, and you're to utilize those. And when you're given an opportunity to serve, you only have a small window to do that. So you really, before you know it, your term is ended. So what do you have to look back on to see what you did to make an impact, especially at home,
Right.
'cause- and your local community. But I've been honored to serve as a commissioner on the North Carolina Criminal Justice Education and Training and Standards Commission for a couple years. I'm no longer on that one, but now I serve on the Governor's Crime Commission, which also our district attorney, Robert Evans, is the chairman of that commission for the state. And him knowing my background in law enforcement and as it relates to domestic violence, and years ago I used to serve on the board at my sister's house, there was an open seat on the Domestic Violence Commission for the state that the Crime Commission had on that commission. So I got a call from him one day, and he gave me some more work, and I accepted, and I'm honored that he would consider me for that, and I'm honored to serve on the Domestic Violence Commission and the Governor's Crime Commission.
Man, that is
Right.
outstanding. So, one of the things you're bringing together a big event here in Rocky Mount on May 3rd. So, walk us through that whole process, and I'm excited about it because it brings some spotlight to our community, and I think that we're deserving of that as a community. But it's not without folks like you and the impact you have bringing those kinds of opportunities to us.
Well, it all started in 2008 when Officer Alan Christopher Silver, he was killed in 2007, the first Rocky Mount police officer ever killed in the line of duty. And Alan and I were very close. And so the Attorney General puts on the state service every year, and at the time it was Attorney General Roy Cooper. And being that there was 4 officers that were killed in the state that year, and one being Rocky Mount, one being Greenville, and 2 in Charlotte, it was chosen to be in Rocky Mount, and I had no part of that. But being it was in Rocky Mount, I was the local liaison for the police department and the Attorney General's service. And after it was over, I don't know what it was that I did, but I was asked if I would remain a steering committee member and follow it throughout the state year after year. And so when we honored Alan Silver and the other 3 officers in 2008, I've been a part of the steering committee ever since. And the Attorney General's office, the core committee, we pick a location every year. One, it's got to be a location that seats at least 1,000 people. It's got to be close to a major interstate or highway, plenty of lodging nearby, and we have that here. So this year, we had it in Winston-Salem last year, we had it in Greensboro the year before, and we bounce all over the state from the east to the west to central. And so we got together this year and talking about going back to the Piedmont and areas like that. And I said, one day I'd like to have it back in Rocky Mount. And, I was asked, well, so you got a church big enough? And I'm like,
We got plenty.
So, so we had a meeting here and they were just blown away. You've got so many churches, Word,
Right.
Morning Star, Englewood Baptist,
sure.
First Baptist, and others of size. But being we held it in 2008 at Englewood Baptist Church, we kind of know the logistics of it still. I was a part of it then. And, it's so wide open. That's the location that has been chosen for this year's ceremony. So it really is, when you look at the entire state, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Charlotte, and we get to have it here in Rocky Mount. It really truly is an honor to be able to honor those that have given it all in service to us.
Right. So it's a service to commemorate those that have fallen in the line of duty.
Right.
And it recognizes everybody all over the state. What's the official name of this service?
It's the 2022 North Carolina Peace Officers Memorial Day Ceremony.
Right.
And it's, like I said, sponsored by the Attorney General.
Sure.
And most of the workers, the director is the Deputy Director for the North Carolina Justice Academy, Barbara Moore.
Right.
Another core member is the President, Kim Murray, of North Carolina COPS, which stands for Concerns of Police Survivors.
Okay.
And then the Director of the Justice Academy and myself.
Sure.
So we're like the 4 key folks on making the critical initial decisions on where we go and that sort of stuff. And then we have a layered committee that comes together once we plan the service. I pretty much handle what Deputy Director Moore calls the front of the house, and she handles the back of the house. So in other words, I pretty much direct the entire ceremony, train the Memorial Honor Guard, Memorial Wreath Team, the family ushers, the stage ushers, everything that goes on in the service that people witness and see.
So where are you going to find those people? Where are the Memorial Guard? Is that a collection of different forces, or is it how's that selected? How do you go about that?
So you usually choose a host every year.
Okay.
The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office was the host last year. You have one main host. Well, they obviously included Chief Katrina Thompson with the Winston-Salem Police Department to be a part. But you got a host, and then they gather all their local agencies. Like here, we would, if Rocky Mount were to host it like we did in 2008, you would have Nash, Edgecombe, Middlesex, Spring, Hope, Pine Tops, all the areas in Nash and Edgecombe County. But this year, we are honoring triple than we've ever honored in the history of the service in 37 years. So you're going to need a lot more resources, and knowing the great relationship between our two sheriffs and the chief of police here in Rocky Mount, we've asked them to co-host it together.
Okay. I like that.
You're going to need a lot more resources. The Attorney General has chosen, he chooses a speaker each year to give some, key remarks to the survivors and the agencies affected. And so this year, it's been an array of folks, but this year he's wanting to have our two sheriffs split the key remarks.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, and then Chief Hassel will do the welcoming to the city.
I think that's outstanding.
So, when you only have one host, one agency host, they're responsible for finding the people to make the service happen, and it's my job to train the people that they recruit. And of course, I have a couple other folks that help. I lost a person that's helped me in the past. They retired.
Right.
So I went and have recruited a local deputy from Edgecombe County, James Silver.
Oh, James Silver, what a great guy.
I talked to the sheriff and told him the commitment it takes. If we have these practices and we have these meetings in Asheville, he's got to be at every one of them. I do. I mean, we're just vital to make it happen.
Right.
And if he's going to be on the steering committee, he's got to be committed and have a passion for it, but so does the person that's going to allow that and not let anything get in the way, because it is so important. So this is his first inaugural event as a steering committee member, and I know he'll do a great job. So even I'm trying to train folks to take my place. So when I'm finished, we're still going to have a local zest to the service.
I got you.
We'll still have a local connection to the state ceremony through the Attorney General. But usually, though, when you have one host, the mayor gives the welcome.
Sure.
So we're kind of torn.
Right.
I would love to have you do the welcome, but when you have the three hosts that are providing all the resources, which you are one of those in essence, but the three law enforcement officials are playing a role in it. And
no, I think that was more than appropriate. And I'm just glad to see Rocky Mount represented.
Yep.
Appreciate you mentioning that, but didn't bring you here to ask for that role. But I'm just grateful that you have helped expose Rocky Mount. So now, is this something that is open to the public?
It is.
Okay.
So in 2019, we held it in Greensboro. In 2020, we didn't have it because of COVID.
Right.
And then last year, we had it. We combined we combined 2019. All right, so let me back up to not bring confusion. So when we held the service in 2019 in Greensboro, we were honoring officers killed in the line of duty through December 31st of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2019 honorees were not recognized in the 2020 service. Mm-hmm. All right. So in 2021, we held the 2019 and the 2020 honorees at that service in Winston-Salem, but it wasn't open to the public.
Right, because of COVID and whatnot.
We had COVID, so we didn't have it one year, and then we
Right.
combined it in Winston-Salem. That's
Right.
last year that the public couldn't be there. They could watch via YouTube channel.
Okay.
But only the survivors, those immediate
Right.
families that are affected, plus some of the agency. But
Right.
it was very restricted because of the mandates in place. But we had to give some closure to those families, rightly so.
Right.
And so this year, we're back to where we were in 2018, which was actually in Wilson in
Okay.
2018. So this will be totally open to the public. Everybody's welcome to attend to honor those that have given it all. And it'll be May 3rd at 10 a.m.
Okay.
We started an hour early this year because we have more that we unfortunately have to honor. But, it's still an honor to have it here to be able to bestow that honor.
So I think I heard you say 3 times as many as you've ever honored before. I mean, what's that number? I mean, that sounds pretty big. You're starting an hour early, so I mean, has violence picked up that much? Is there?
Well, COVID's added a lot to it.
Sure. Okay.
So we're honoring, like in 2008 when we honored Alan Silver,
Right.
we honored 4.
Right.
I believe last year we honored, it was 7.
Okay.
And, it just kind of gives you an idea. There's been years that we've honored 12.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're honoring 30.
30.
And out of those 30, 17 are COVID related.
Okay. Still, what's remaining? That's still a big number. 13.
And those are vehicle crashes while responding, or being hit by drunk drivers responding or working in the line of duty. The 2 Watauga County deputies that were shot and killed. So you've got gunfire, automobile crashes, heart attacks on duty that qualify for the state and the national, and plus those death benefits, et cetera. But I took a hold of it because of the personal connection and relationship I have with the Silver family.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think you realize this, but his memory will never diminish or die,
That's right.
as well as the others, including the ones we're honoring this year. In fact, that my youngest son is Alan in honor of Alan Silver. So A.C. Silver.
Yep.
My son's A.C. Parks.
Yep.
So his memory will live on for a long time.
And we have a bridge, and that was quite a procession
Yep.
When all that was going on. It's a sad story, but
Yep.
Nonetheless, and we should remember him forever, really.
Well, and Chris Driver, since Alan, we just had a lot of people locally touched and impacted by it. And it's not just law enforcement; it's the churches these officers went to, and their families, the nieces, the nephews, the cousins, the extended family that reaches wide and far. And so, a lot of our local people in the surrounding counties and in the eastern region don't have as far to drive this year. That typically, if we have it in Asheville or someplace like that, that's a lot of times they can't make the hike that far.
Well, I think it brings it full circle too, and you recognize really the importance of law enforcement, the sacrifices that we're asking these men and women to make on our behalf. It really is a thin blue line, and it really does take a special person to engage themselves on a 24/7 basis, and I'm fully appreciative of it, and I think most people are. So, I really appreciate you doing it. I really appreciate you bringing it to Rocky Mount. I really appreciate the folks that are watching this, whatever we can do to participate. Do you need volunteers? Is there room for that? Is that something that would be helpful to you? If that's
Absolutely.
the case, we should make an appeal for that.
Yeah, there's, Englewood Baptist Church is just, Pastor Chris Aiken and Michelle Farrell.
Right.
People there at Englewood Baptist Church, they're doing so much of the setup the day before or the Sunday before.
Right.
And then they'll have people there the day before when we're there setting up, and the state law enforcement choirs there sound checking and rehearsing. And but there's always something somebody can do, whether it's handing out programs, whether it's assisting with parking, and if you want to volunteer and we've got it covered, Thank you. Thank you for being there.
Right.
And if you don't do anything but attend, that's giving honor to the families and to the officers that are there being represented.
So who would I contact if I were interested? I guess call the church and just
No,
plug in
I
that
don't
way,
want
or-
to put that on them.
Right.
I can, I can provide you with
Sure.
with an email address for me.
Okay.
It's local people, and I think other committee members might strangle me if I put them on the hook for this.
Well, we'll put it on underneath you on the screen.
And
here.
then if I'm speaking to them, I pretty much know the needs locally, and if
Right.
we don't need some help, we get to a point, I'd be able to at least speak to them directly and appreciate them for the offer and just let them know that we've got it covered.
Sure.
But please attend. I mean, it's really, it means a lot to these families to see that show of support.
Right.
And we know by far and large that the community supports law enforcement. There's been some tough times, but by far and large, it's the silent majority that supports what we do, and know that the majority of every profession is upstanding, full of integrity, and that you have a few instances that aren't above board that tend to want to tarnish it for all the good. But that's a very small number. And I'll just say that, the firefighters have their day of remembrance for firefighters, EMS, et cetera. And our heart goes out to other first responders that do similar work to what we do, and
Right.
vice versa. In fact, Chief Mercer and the fire department, I reached out to them, and they're going to play a part also and be right there with us with the big American flag draping over I guess at that point, Beechwood Road, and we'll probably shut down Beechwood for about a 20-minute span, and the North Carolina State Highway Patrol Caisson Unit, the Troopers Association Caisson Unit, will participate again, and the Highway Patrol, I really hadn't even told all the committee members yet, but in speaking with the Colonel of the Highway Patrol, we're going to have a flyover by the State Highway Patrol's aerial unit.
Oh, that's great.
And that's another point, and I love it, is in 2008 when we did it in Rocky Mount, it's the only time in the history of the state service that there was a flyover, and it was two Apaches, and they actually landed the day before for a rehearsal
Okay.
in the field next to Englewood, and so figured how fitting we're back in Rocky Mount 14 years later, and there's a lot of logistics with the military right now, and that's an act of Congress to make that happen. And the colonel was more than willing because there's a trooper
Right.
involved, and it is representing the entire state.
Right.
It's rare that they do that, but this is a statewide service, and it's so we're tickled about that. So it's kind of cool that Rocky Mount's the only time they ever had a flyover, and it's back in Rocky Mount 14 years later, and we're having another one.
That's great.
So, and that means a lot to the families. It's all about the families. Nobody else matters but the families.
Well, they're the ones who've made the
This is for
sacrifice.
them. This is for them, and this is to give them some closure. And the national service is May the 15th, which is the National Peace Officers Memorial Day that President Kennedy, when he was in office, that was signed into law years ago. National Law Enforcement Officers, May 15th of each year.
Sure.
So I will say that Nash County Travel and Tourism, Barbara Green, Inga Turner with Hampton Inn, and Lisa, for all the hotels have been over backwards to give great rates to the families for that, for the key nights. And, it's just traditional Rocky Mount style. People can say all they want to, but this is the most giving and gracious community that I've been a part of. And I go all over this state, and there's nothing that people don't ask from us that we don't provide, plus some. And that's showing true again here with the service. Before you even thought about this interview, your office, the mayor's office, reached out about how you wanted the flyer and
Right.
you wanted to help promote
That's
it.
right.
Because it really is an honor to have this service in our city and in our community.
So tell me about the procession. I mean, there's going to be, you're going to pull off Beechwood. Folks, I guess, will be able to watch it almost like a parade and with the flyover. Kind of about what time would that be? Maybe something I don't feel compelled to go to the service itself, but I've got small kids and they would probably love to
That's
see.
towards the very end, and the service will probably be 2 hours this year.
Okay.
Obviously, we've trimmed any fat that we might have had in the past, because there's a bio red of each officer, and we've kind of structured that to a certain format instead of everybody doing their own thing. And the COPS organization handles that. But it's towards the end, and those logistics are still not worked out.
Yeah.
I'm to have a meeting week after next with the aerial unit with the Highway Patrol. And we have 3 rehearsals. The last 3 Tuesdays in April from 10 to 1 are our rehearsals. So people from all over the state come for a 3-hour rehearsal.
Right.
So the Watauga representatives, the Catawba County, the Burke County, the Rowan counties, the Transylvania counties, all these are agencies that I'm naming: Charlotte, Mecklenburg, Kings Mountain.
Sure.
So all of these people will converge every Tuesday for a rehearsal.
Okay.
And then the last Tuesday in April is the full dress rehearsal. And then the first Tuesday in May is the actual ceremony. So, there's a lot of the rehearsals hadn't started yet. And
Well,
I hadn't had the
they're coming
meeting.
up.
I hadn't had the meeting with the aerial unit with the North Carolina Highway Patrol. But all those logistics will come together. But it's typically towards the end of the program. I mean, you have the invocation, you have the national anthem, you have the color guard that presents, and then it's usually a combined color guard, probably be between Rocky Mount, Nash, and Edgecombe County sheriffs.
Right.
The chief and the 2 sheriffs agreed. I mean, they have been over backwards providing the resources and knowing what the honor it is to have this. And then you've got a memorial wreath team that will be combined through those agencies. You got the Memorial Honor Guard, which is a representative from each agency that represents the officers that we're honoring that carry a United States flag down. The Attorney General calls the name of the officer in the agency, and they go post it, salute it. Later on in the service, the Memorial Honor Guards place a rose in the wreath
By each of
at
those
center
flags, I guess.
stage. Well, in that wreath, each officer goes up and they read the bio of the officer that we're honoring, and they place the rose in the wreath and hold the salute until the bio is read.
Right.
And then they proceed back, and then the next one will come up, put the rose in the wreath, salute. While they're saluting, the attorney, whoever's reading the Memorial Honor Guard,
Right.
The honor roll this year will read that, and then they'll drop their salute and so on. But you've got the North Carolina Wildlife Commission that does our 21 gun salute
Yes.
each year. It looks like this year we've got some local talent that will do taps. Like I said, you got the caisson unit. They were to participate unless something happens like happened last year. They're there every year unless something like this happens. Last year it was in Winston-Salem.
Right.
Prior to the service in Winston-Salem, they were committed. But then we had the tragedy with the 2 Watauga County deputies.
I was up there when all that was
So
happening.
they
That was terrible.
had to divert and not participate in the state ceremony to be there for that.
I appreciate you coming and sharing this with us, and I appreciate you telling us kind of what the story is and all that you do for our community and all that you have done. I just want to thank you for being my guest, Ricky.